Hello guys, this is your friend Shinobi Nexus 2.0 and we are back in new fanfic. What if Naruto found comfort in Hinata early part 1? The beginning. Naruto. Konoha had risen up from that attack of the Kyuubi that made them lose their Yondaime. Now Konoha was again beautiful but only from the outside. That day many people lost their parents, their children and other relatives. They could never forget the hate and anger they had for the Kyuubi, never. And all this hate and anger was directed towards only a certain blonde kid. Uzumaki Naruto was a 7-year-old orphaned kid and an infamous prankster in Konoha who always ran away after his pranks. He had sun-kissed blonde hair, cerulean blue eyes that even put the sky and oceans to shame, and cute adorable 3 whisker marks on each side on his cheeks. But today he was running for different reason. Kill him. One man yelled. Yeah. Kill him and finish what the Yondaime started. Another yelled. Today was October 10th, Naruto's birthday, and the worst day of the year. Normally people would just misbehave with him or throw him out of the store, and only a few times shinobis went for him. But today he was being followed by 3 chunins who were trying to kill him. One of them threw a kunai at him but he dodged it easily. He had developed a knack for running and dodging as people always tried to kill him or hurt him physically or mentally. He saw that most people can't go after him due to his otherworldly stamina. He soon reached a dead end and a chunin threw an explosive kunai at him. Finding nowhere to flee, he jumped over the fence to avoid the explosion. But still jumping through the fence, he cut his leg. Then he ran as fast as he could and reached his secret place. Naruto reached at the clearing at the top of the Hokage and sat on top of the face of his hero, the Yondaime. Konoha looked immensely beautiful from there. It was dusk and the glowing light from buildings and shops made it a dreamy sight. Anybody would smile at the scenario but Naruto didn't. Tears fell down from his face. Why? Why everybody hated him? Why everybody despised him? Why everybody wanted to kill him? Yes, he pulled pranks but they were not that much serious to make chunins run for him. Why? He screamed from the Hokage mountain and laid there down. Why do you all hate me? He saw up the stars-filled sky. If heavens existed it would be here, but it was hell for him. He let a small drop of tear fall from his face. Mom, Dad, where are you? He asked while crying silently. After the death of Yondaime, Hiruzen took up the reins of Konoha and gave Naruto a small apartment and monthly pocket money. When he was asked why was he doing so much for the boy, he said, "It was the last wish of 2 of my very close comrades." Naruto also asked Hiruzen about his parents a lot, but he'd either say he didn't know them properly, or they were great people. But Naruto never got a clear answer. A little while later Naruto fell asleep on the mountain. A blinding light was coming from somewhere that made Naruto woke up from his slumber. He got up and saw that he was on the Hokage mountain on top of Yondaime's head. He looked up at the sun to determine what time it was. Yes, Naruto learned to determine the time using sun as it was one of the most basic skills of a ninja. And he was not happy. Damn it. It was just a few hours before 10 a.m. and the academy started at 8 a.m. Iruka-sensei will kill me this time. He got down from the mountain and dashed towards his home. Naruto's home was a small apartment with dim lights. The living room was filled with Ichiraku ramen cups. It was a low-class BHK. His bed was completely untidy. After brushing, bathing and eating breakfast, Naruto reached the academy at 10:45 a.m. He tried to silently enter the classroom but was caught by Iruka. Naruto! Iruka shouted and Naruto was caught red-handed, much to the annoyance of many girls, but one Indio-haired girl was overjoyed. Iruka is a former chunin and an academy instructor who loves to prepare the next generation of shinobis. He wore Konoha flak jacket and had a scar on his nose bridge and he tied his hair in a ponytail. His parents died in the Kyuubi attack and initially, like all villagers, he too hated Naruto, but then slowly he got to observe the boy and he found that they both were and are alike, pranksters, lonely and orphans. They started to like each other and then Naruto started calling him, boss. He usually was calm person, but now he wanted answers. Naruto, why are you so late? He asked. Although Naruto was his favorite student, he wouldn't allow this kind of unpunctuality. Boss personal problems. Naruto said, his eyes downcast as soon as he said those words. Iruka knew what he was referring to. Okay. Go and sit on your seat, but still you'll have to mop the classroom after class, as your punishment. Iruka said and Naruto went to his seat. Iruka continued the class. Okay. Everyone, now this jutsu will help you in memorizing things like mission descriptions, important scrolls, location of enemy hideouts, etc. Iruka explained the memorizing jutsu to everyone as soon as he finished. The bell rang. Ah, it seems your class is over for today. Iruka stated and the students got ready to leave, but Iruka differed. Wait. The murmur died down. Before y'all leave, he took out a huge box of record tapes. You will take one of these tapes and practice the memorizing jutsu. Each of these tapes contains speeches of Hokages or explanations of your textbook chapters and memorize it by Wednesday, because I'll be taking your test on it on Wednesday, understand? The whole class had crestfallen faces. PFF'd. What a waste of time. Naruto stated with disinterest. He'd rather spend his time on improving his taijutsu or on making that stupid bunshin. Really, Naruto? Because I was planning on reliving the students from 2 weeks of homework for those who score good in the test, and because you will have mastered that jutsu, I'll assume that all of you are learning my lectures using this jutsu. Naruto's eyes lit up. Really? Iruka nodded. Woohoo. Just you watch, I'll have that jutsu learned by today. He exclaimed at the thought of being relived from homework. One by one each and every student took a tape, but a student named Kotoru took 2 tapes, so that there was a shortage of tapes for Naruto and the people would hate him more and the whole class would make fun of him. Iruka was just exiting the classroom when he saw Naruto. Naruto, what happened? Iruka asked with concern evident in his voice. Iruka-sensei, there are no more tapes left for me. The blonde told his sensei. What? But I myself counted them, there were 50 of them, one for each student. Iruka wondered how could there be 1 tape less. Anyways, Naruto, can't you buy tapes from the market? The Chunin asked his favorite student. Naruto, don't say that you spent all your money on ramen again. Iruka warned Naruto. No, Iruka-sensei, actually there are only a few shops in the village that allow me, but the price of the equipment there is very high, because of which my whole pocket money gets spent on those things. The blonde clarified. Iruka was surprised. Naruto, how much do they charge you? The academy instructor asked. These things shouldn't cost that much. About 1,000 ryo, Naruto answered. Iruka was angry, would be an understatement, he was furious. Those bastards, they are taking revenge on him like this. I'll have to report it to Sandaime-sama. But now the important task was to help Naruto without letting him know how the shopkeepers were looting him. Naru. Suddenly, a girl appeared in front of Naruto. The girl had white and almost pupilless eyes with a fair complexion and short indigo hair. The girl outstretched her hands to reveal a tape. FF for YU. P, please T, take it. She stuttered. Iruka was surprised and Naruto got out of his trance and pointed towards himself. For me. The girl nodded. Thanks, but won't you need one for the test? The blonde questioned. IIHH have another at H home. The girl answered. Naruto's face lit up. Thank you, Hinata. The girl's cheeks turned red, but she smiled. Now, problem solved. Thank you, Hinata, Iruka declared. Then he told Hinata to go home and she returned home. Shortly after, Iruka left too, but before he left, with a grin on his face, he reminded Naruto something very important. Now he has to mop the floor. Hinata Hyuga was the heiress of one of the most powerful clans in Konoha, the Hyuga clan. The most strict and most noble clan in Konoha after the Uchihas. The Hyugas had a special Kekkei Genkei, the Byakugan. It was the most protected Kekkei Genkai of Konoha as it granted the user 360 vision and the ability to see one's chakra system through X-ray vision. The Hyugas had developed a special form of taijutsu suitable for their special eyes, the Jiyuken. A Jiyuken is a technique used by a Hyuga to paralyze a part of the body by sending chakra into that part of the body with their palms and shutting down the chakra network temporarily. That is why no one wanted to take a Hyuga on. But like every coin has two sides, the Hyugas had a very dark side. Their clan was divided into two parts, the main house and the branch house. The main house was the ruling party while the branch house had to follow each and every order of the main house members, and if they did not, well, the branch house members had a special seal put on their foreheads put by the main house, the caged bird seal which separated the two houses. When activated it would give the bearer immense pain or even death, and the clan heads didn't hesitate to put that on little kids. In turn the Hyugas treated the branch house members like inhumans and the branch house hated the main house. However, Hinata didn't hate the branch house, instead she was very friendly towards the branch house members and they also liked her very much. But this kind nature made her weak and ineligible for the heiress position in the eyes of the Hyuga elders. After her mother's death nobody cared for her. Her father changed and stopped training her and focused on her younger sister who seemed to be more promising in Jiyuken, and the clan elders also supported Hanabi as the clan head because she was not soft towards the branch house, and because of all this Hinata was left to Kurani's care by her father. Just when she had given up all the hope, just when she was about to concede defeat, she found her new light, her new beacon, her new sun. Hinata was in the academy. She arrived mostly early than everyone to avoid her father as much as she could. His cold stare made her want to cry at the spot. But she steeled herself against it. She wore a lavender color sleeveless jacket and beneath there was a half-sleeve white t-shirt. Later Uchiha Sasuke, the rookie of the class, arrived. He just looked at the Byakugan princess and went to his seat. They never talked. Hinata was too shy and Sasuke, well, he considered her inferior to him. He wore navy blue t-shirt and on its back was a white-red fan, the symbol of Uchihas. Hinata never understood one thing: why did all the girls fawn over Sasuke? He is so cold and proud and he never pays any attention to the people around him. She never thought that Sasuke was handsome. Yes, he was good-looking but not that much. In her eyes it was somebody else with blonde hair, blue eyes, cute whisker marks and a trademark grin. Flashback. It was winter morning and snow had covered Konoha and all the civilians were either inside their blankets or were near a fireplace to warm themselves up and the shinobis were on duty. Amidst all of this Hinata was playing by the academy alone. Her retainer Hyuga Ko went to run some errands and she was here enjoying the beautiful view. Hinata did not have many chances to go beyond the Hyuga clan's compound and she never got the chance to see snow. While she was playing, 3 second-year boys arrived. Hey, will you play with us? One of them asked. Play with them? She was never asked to play with someone after her mother died. Her father considered it as a sign of weakness. She was lonely. She readily agreed, but when she turned around, Ew. The fat one backed. You have the Byakugan, you are a Hyuga. The tall one exclaimed while pointing a finger towards her. Everything seemed to fall in place. She was a Hyuga, she possessed the Byakugan. She knew how much ugly her eyes made her look, and also since the Hyugas were too prideful they didn't have a good image in many's eyes. Yes, they were respected but not liked. Her father called it fear and he said that it is good to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Hinata wanted to say something but her shyness and nervousness got the better of her. What if she said something that disgraced her clan? Then another boy spoke. Ha, you consider us inferior to you, right, Byakugan monster? He questioned her character and called her ugly at the same time, but she couldn't say anything. They insulted her more and more, then she sat down and started to cry. A few seconds passed. Then suddenly a blonde boy wearing red muffler, orange jacket and green goggles came to her rescue. He had been listening to all of this for quite some time from the swing by the academy, and now he wouldn't tolerate it anymore. Hey, leave her alone. He jumped in front of the girl. Who are you? The short one questioned. I'm the future Hokage, Uzumaki Naruto. The blonde took a step ahead and said clearly and loudly. The three of them made fun of him, saying that people like him can never be Hokage, but Naruto didn't flinch, which surprised Hinata. How could he have such confidence? She had seen people despising him, throwing rotten tomatoes and eggs at him, but his self-confidence never lowered. He just trained harder and harder to prove them wrong, which inspired Hinata later on. He made the necessary hand signs and shouted, Bunshin Jutsu. 2 clouds of smoke appeared, and when they cleared, nothing was seen. Naruto didn't expect this, and the boys then beat him and rendered him unconscious. They then took his muffler and ruined it by hanging from the tree with it and jumping on it, and then they left. When Naruto woke up, he had a bleeding nose and a swollen eye. He jumped up to fight those boys but found none. He turned his right to see Hinata holding his muffler. They ruined your scarf. She spoke in just above a whisper. Ah, no worries, that happens with me every time. By the way, are you okay? The blonde asked the princess. Yes, she said while handling his scarf to him, but he said she could keep it and went away. It was then she started admiring him. Flashback end. It happened 2 years ago, and since then Hinata has been drawing inspiration from Naruto, but even she didn't remember when this little admiration grew into a crush and eventually into love. When the Hyuga elders despised her and called her a disgrace to the Hyuga clan, when she had lost all the hope, at that time she watched Naruto while he trained. She saw how much he trained and how much he worked to gain people's respect. Each time she saw him, her love for him increased and increased. She got courage from seeing him train. She told herself that it was not over. She could still mend the relationship between herself and her father. She could still fix everything. She had finally found her new light, her new beacon, and her son. She loved him from the core of her heart, but she couldn't gather up the courage to tell him directly that she loved him. But she saw how lonely he was, how much he was thirsty for the love of his parents and for the somebody special, and how sad and depressed he was behind that facade of his smiles and grins. After Iruka, no one knew Naruto better than her. She really wanted to make all of this disappear. She wanted to tell him that he is not worthless, that he has a special person in his life, that she loves him. But what if he rejects me? This thought always came to her mind. No. No more running away. I'll definitely make Naruto-kun happy. From now on I'll be at his side to protect him and save him. Hinata also remembered that yesterday was Naruto's birthday, and like each year Hinata snuck into Naruto's apartment at night and kept a gift at his doorstep. I hope he likes it. With all this in her mind, she didn't notice that the classroom was filled with students now. Sakura, Ino and the other girls were fighting over who would sit with Sasuke. Shikamaru came and Shikamaru slept. Choji was eating chips, and then Iruka entered the classroom and started taking attendance. Everybody was present except Naruto. Hinata knew that Naruto always came late, and sometimes he cut the class with Choji and Shikamaru, but he was never absent. Oh dear, I wish he is okay. Hinata couldn't focus on class that day. She was just thinking about her blonde boy. Just when the second class was about to start, Iruka shouted, Naruto. Hinata turned around to see Naruto sneaking into class. From outside she was just smiling, but from the inside she was overjoyed. Her Naruto was fine, thank God. But when Iruka asked about why Naruto was so late and Naruto said that he was late because of personal problems, she felt the turmoil going inside of him. Everyone then turned their attention back to class. Hinata couldn't help but giggle at the antics of Naruto. When Iruka said that if he scored good in the test using the memorizing jutsu, he'll be relieved from 2 weeks of homework, then he started jumping and laughing. So much full of life. Hinata praised Naruto inwardly. Everybody took their record tapes and left, and Hinata was about to leave when she saw Naruto outside standing with Iruka, and his face was downcast. She didn't like to overhear people, but it was about Naruto, she had to know it. She snuck behind the door and listened to them. Naruto, how much do they charge you? Hinata heard Iruka ask. About 1,000 ryo. Naruto answered. Hinata put her hand on her mouth and gasped. 1,000 ryo for academy equipment. They all are robbing Naruto-kun in daylight. She listened to their conversation a little more and looked at Naruto's down face, which made her heart ache. Just some time ago he was jumping, and now, then she looked at her own tape. It wouldn't matter if I give my own tape to Naruto-kun, right? The Hyuga clan has many more such tapes and I can learn from them. Yes, she'll give her tape to Naruto. Just today she had promised herself that she'll keep Naruto happy, and now was just the beginning. But what if he hates me for Ava's dropping on him? No, it's not time for this, Hinata. Naruto-kun needs your help. She steeled herself and went for Naruto. Iruka didn't get to finish his sentence as Hinata appeared in front of Naruto and outstretched her arms, revealing a tape. FF for YUPP, please take it. She stuttered. Oh no, I stuttered, now he'll think I'm weird. Hinata was about to cry when Naruto questioned. For me? Hinata nodded. Thanks, but don't you need one? The blonde questioned. IIH have others at HH home. Hinata answered. Naruto smiled and took her tape, then Iruka thanked Hinata and then the two left, leaving Naruto alone to mop the classroom. When Hinata reached her room in the Hyuga clan's compound, she let herself fall on the pillow and squeaked. She never thought she could talk to Naruto, but she did. Maybe one day I can really become his wife, she thought. Although it was a small step and the road was long, but still it was the beginning. 2 weeks later. Like every time, Hinata and Sasuke arrived earlier than anybody and sat down on their respective seats. Hinata scored 92% in the test and didn't have any homeworks for those weeks. During her free time, she went outside and, after receiving permission from the principal, picked some flowers from the garden for her hobby of flower pressing. Her father did not say anything about it. Either he was too busy to notice or he was not interested. Later, when she came back, she saw Sakura and Ino drooling over Sasuke. She did not like paying attention to them because they were extremely rude and mean with Naruto. She did not like anybody who tried to hurt her blonde boy without any good reason, but that didn't mean that she was rude to them. She just avoided them. She saw Shikamaru was sleeping and Choji was eating. She liked them because they were good friends to Naruto. Shikamaru was the heir of the Nara clan, the most smartest clan of Konoha, and Shikamaru was the genius but the laziest student of their class. He tied his hair in a pineapple sort of ponytail. Choji was the heir of the Akamichi clan, the food lovers of Konoha. If food lived and talked like humans, then the Akamichis would have surely married food. And just like a true Akamichi, he was eating a packet full of chips. When Naruto was all alone, Shikamaru and Choji became his first friends. Unlike every other parent in Konoha, their parents did not order them to stay away from Naruto. Then there was Kiba playing with his dog Akamaru. He was the heir of the Inuzuka clan and he also was a good friend of Naruto. He had two goals: to become the best ninja of his clan and to become Hokage, so technically he and Naruto were rivals, but he liked Naruto too. They both were brash, loud and dead last of their class. He wore gray color clothes with a hoodie and one red mark on each side of his face, the symbol of the Inuzuka clan. A little while later Iruka arrived and the class started. Naruto was late like always. Naruto, what excuse do you have this time? The Chunin questioned. Iruka-sensei, I had to save a tree from a cat, hehe. Naruto tried to joke. Iruka did not like that joke and therefore made Naruto stand in the hall while holding 2 buckets of water for the whole period. Once the period was over, Naruto was allowed to enter the class and he sat next to Choji, and like every time he'd make a plan for his next pranks for the whole time, but today he had something else to do. The recess bell rang, and all of the students went out to play. Once the classroom was empty, Naruto approached Hinata. Hinata, can I have a moment with you? The blonde questioned. The Hyuga heiress looked up to her right and found Naruto. Naruto-kun wants to talk to me. Her heart was beating rapidly, she was slowly turning red but she resisted against that. Sure NN Naruto-kun. Naruto produced a bunch of heliotropes, a flower, in front of Hinata. I actually never got to thank you properly for giving me your record tape, so I brought these from my garden. Naruto said sheepishly while rubbing the back of his head. These flowers, they actually symbolize eternal love, does Naruto-kun know that? Hinata was in her own world. Suddenly she got out of her trance and accepted those flowers. It was nothing ss special Naruto-kun. Oh sure it was Hinata. You saved me from 2 weeks of homework. The blonde exclaimed. Then he noticed that the entire classroom was empty. Hey, Hinata, what are you going to do now? He asked. Nothing, just sit here. She looked to her right where from the window she could see the students playing in the playground. She looked at them with a wistful smile. Naruto didn't like the sound of that, he could feel the loneliness inside of her. Then an idea came to his mind and he asked, hey Hinata, wanna come with me in the playground? Her head shot up. She never thought this would happen. Naruto asked her out. Sure. Hinata replied without hesitation. Naruto with his big grin held Hinata's hand and took her to the playground. It was a miracle that Hinata did not faint. They sat on the bench, chatting together. Hinata, what are your hobbies? Naruto asked with a smile. He noticed that when Hinata was comfortable her stutter decreased too. T there are F flower pressing and G gardening. The princess answered. Gardening. Awesome, that is my favorite hobby too. He was finding that there were many things common between them. You know, I think your eyes are really beautiful, Hinata. Hinata blushed really hard. Then Naruto noticed something. He came closer to her to have a proper look at her eyes. Hey, Hinata, everybody says your eyes are white but I see a touch of lavender in them. He is so close to me. Hinata felt like fainting. No. I will not faint. Yup, I've confirmed it. Hinata, your eyes are the most beautiful eyes that I've ever seen, the blonde stated. Hinata was now redder than a tomato. Some time passed and then Hinata's blush started fading away and she spoke up. You know Naruto-kun, you are a versus very good person. Naruto looked at her confused. She smiled and continued, I've seen you, you always try to help people, no matter what, even if they hate you or love you, and that is a very rare quality. She closed her eyes and smiled. Yeah, but no matter what I do, they always hate me. Naruto told her, pissed at the people who hate him. Just give them a little time, they don't know how much of a good person why you are. She stated calmly. Naruto felt one thing, her voice had a soothing effect on him and he calmed down. Yeah, thanks Hinata. Naruto thanked her grinning. Then the bell rang and recess was over and everybody returned to their respective classrooms. The last 2 periods were peaceful and now was the time for Mizuki's class. He entered and greeted all the students. Mizuki was an academy instructor just like Iruka, but he hated Naruto, but never showed it. Let's see. How can I humiliate the demon today? Mizuki thought inwardly. Brilliant idea, Mizuki. And wicked thought came to his mind. While it won't be enough to shatter him completely, but it would break his spirit for some days. He smirked. Okay class, today we will have taijutsu practice. Mizuki clapped his hands to draw everyone's attention. First we will have Shino versus Kiba, then Hinata versus Sakura and at last Naruto versus Sasuke. He told them the lining ups. In the first match Kiba emerged victorious. In the second match Hinata showed Sakura what were the results of hurting Naruto. She closed her 5 main chakra points and left her unconscious. While she did that she completely looked innocent from the outside but from the inside she was on rampage. Now was Naruto versus Sasuke. They both appeared in front of the class. Every other girl was cheering for Sasuke, but Hinata didn't like that. She had to do something to rise Naruto's confidence. Yes, I will cheer for Naruto-kun. She looked at him and took a deep breath. Do it, Naruto-kun. She cheered for her crush and everybody looked at her. Even Shikamaru woke up from his nap and Choji stopped eating. Each and every student had thought that, like other girls, Hinata also liked Sasuke, but now it doesn't seem so. Hinata's cheer up caused Shikamaru, Choji and Kiba to also cheer up for Naruto. This made Naruto's self-confidence rise up. He grinned and became ready to face Sasuke. You ready, Tem? Naruto asked excitedly. HMPH. Dobi. Sasuke replied nonchalantly. Begin. Mizuki motioned for them to start. Naruto charged at Sasuke with full force. Seeing this, Sasuke also charged at him, wanting to finish this in one shot. As he came close enough, Naruto smirked and sidestepped, leaving his feet in the way to trip Sasuke. Sasuke couldn't slow down and tripped. Just as he was falling, Naruto jabbed a hard fist to his face and Sasuke fell on the ground with a hard thud, a bruised cheek and some blood. What? Each and every girl in the room shouted. They couldn't believe that Naruto was actually able to punch Sasuke. What? This shouldn't be happening. This wasn't in my plan. How did the demon become this strong? Mizuki snarled. He planned that Sasuke would beat Naruto up and humiliate him in front of the class, which would in turn dishearten Naruto and break his spirits, but it was the opposite happening here. Sasuke got up and he was not happy. You lowly scum, how dare you? He again charged at Naruto, but this time Naruto's guard was down. He was barely able to block Sasuke's fist. Sasuke then ducked, then connected a fist with Naruto's stomach. Then as Naruto clutched his stomach, Sasuke hit Naruto's head with his knee and defeated Naruto. All the girls cheered, but this time Shikamaru opened his mouth to speak. Whatever, you can't deny the fact that he was the first among us to hit our Prince Charming, and forced him to get serious. You all should contribute money to get Sasuke's beautiful face checked, or else you won't be able to kiss him. He directed his words towards all the girls and got death stares from them, but that didn't affect him. My mom is a lot scary than these fangirls. He thought and went back to his slumber. Choji and Kiba supported him. While Hinata, on the other hand, was worried about Naruto. Oh no. I have to visit Naruto-kun after all this. Naruto was exiting from the academy covering his left eye when he found Hinata outside. Oh hey Hinata, what are you doing? She got startled and turned to see Naruto. Nothing, Naruto-kun. By the way, are you okay? She asked with concern and worry in her voice. Yeah, it's just a bruised eye. Naruto removed his hand to reveal his eye. Seeing that Hinata's frown and anger towards Sasuke increased, but she was not here for that, she took out a small container from her bag. Remember I told you that my hobbies are flower pressing and gardening. Naruto nodded and she continued, I also like to make medicines from plants. This I is a medicinal C cream, please put it, you'll feel better. Hinata requested Naruto. Thanks Hinata. Naruto took her medicinal cream with gratitude. I have to go now. Hinata bid her farewell and went away. See ya tomorrow. Naruto shouted. It was night and Naruto was getting ready for bed when he remembered something. Hinata's medicinal cream. He took the container, opened the lid and applied some cream on his eye. Surprisingly, he was already starting to feel good. Hey, this cream works well. Naruto thought aloud and then he went to his bed to sleep. Hinata. She doesn't hate me, she thinks I am a good person, she sees me as me and not some demon or whatever the villagers call me. She went against all the girls and cheered for me and gave me her medicinal cream. Naruto grinned. Well, it seems like I found my best friend, and considering how lonely she was, I think she also needs a friend. Well, I'm here for her. Naruto then fell asleep snoring loudly. The next day. The day was peaceful. It was morning and the birds were chirping and everything seemed fine, until Re-in-G-G-G-G. A sound piercing the air came and all the birds flew away. Goddamn alarm clock. Naruto woke up and slammed his hand on the alarm clock, shutting it down, maybe forever. He then looked around and then he came to his senses. It was 6:30 a.m. Naruto got up from the bed wearily and stretched, then he went straight to the mirror and checked his eye. Whoa. His eye was completely healed and it seemed like if he applied that cream given by Hinata today too, then it will be as good as new. He smiled and went on to his daily routine. 6:38 a.m. He thought would it be a good idea to go back to sleep, but no, he'll not sleep today, he had something extremely special to do. Hinata. She has been his thoughts since yesterday and he just couldn't wait to see her. He brushed, bathed, ate and went out for the academy and his soon-to-be best friend. Naruto was entering the academy. It was the first time that he came early. He was enjoying the sights of the academy. Who knows, I might not come this early again. The academy was mostly quiet, not many people were there. Hey, makes sense, I came here 1 hour early. Soon he was greeted by Kiba. Hey, pal. Naruto came out of his trance and saw him. You're early? Let me guess it is the end of the world. Kiba gave a grin that rivaled Naruto's. Naruto just pouted and Kiba continued. But seriously, yesterday you made Sasuke get onto his knees for a moment. The Inuzuka complimented Naruto. Naruto smiled and said, thanks, but it would have not been possible if you all didn't cheer for me. His gratitude was evident in his words. Say, Naruto wanna cut classes today? It would make Iruka-sensei pretty angry. Kiba asked Naruto. No, thanks Kiba, I've other plans today. Naruto said, not wanting to reveal his plan with Hinata. Really? I was planning that we could try on some pranks. After all, you are the leader of our pack. Kiba said, trying to butter Naruto. No, Kiba. Bye. Naruto said his farewell. He didn't know why, but he didn't want to waste another second and just go and meet Hinata. He entered the class and saw that Sasuke was there too. He had a bandage on his right cheek. He looked at Naruto through the corner of his eye. However, Naruto did not pay any attention to him. He went straight to Hinata and sat next to her. He then immediately asked her, hey Hinata-chan, wanna hang out with me? Hinata was redder than a tomato and stiff as a board. He sat next to me, called me, Chan, and asked me out with him. On the other hand, Naruto was worried. He waved his hand in front of her and soon she got out of her trance. Woo, thank God, I was starting to get worried. Now, did you decide? Naruto, after relieved, asked her about the question he asked earlier. Sure. Hinata replied. Awesome, well, meet me after school. Naruto shouted. Hinata couldn't focus on class. She was thinking only about her Naruto. What should I do? I at least should have worn better clothes. What would happen if I stuttered? No, I will not stutter. She was thinking about how she could present herself in front of Naruto. Naruto was waiting outside for Hinata. Just a few seconds later she came. Hinata, ready to go? Naruto asked excitedly. So where are we going? Hinata asked calmly with a smile, but from the inside, well, we know. To the best place in the world to eat ramen, Ichiraku's. Naruto pumped his fist into the air. Hinata giggled at his antics. But won't your family be worried about you? Naruto asked with concern. I'm W with YUS, so there's nothing T to WW worry about. Hinata stated calmly. Without a warning, Naruto took a hold of Hinata's hand and guided her to Ichiraku's. He had picked up a habit of holding her hand, it made him feel comfortable. But he was consciously unaware of that, but subconsciously. They walked all the way to Ichiraku's hand in hand and Hinata did not faint. Yes, she was growing more and more confident around Naruto. They entered a small shop with the name Ichiraku. As soon as they entered, They were greeted by an old man. Hey, if it isn't Naruto. He was glad to see his favorite customer. Hey old man, what ya doin'? Naruto greeted back with an equal amount of jolliness in his voice. Oh nothing, just opened the shop and sent a Yame to bring some vegetables. Naruto stuck his tongue out at the name of vegetables. Oh come on Naruto, you have to eat veggies or you won't become healthy. The shop owner said. He's right Naruto-kun. Hinata also tried to convince Naruto but he didn't listen. Whatever. We aren't here to talk, we are here to eat. Gimme 4 miso ramen. Naruto jumped on the seat and ordered. Okay. But first introduce me to your new friend at least. The old man looked at Hinata and asked. Oh yeah, Hinata, come have a seat. Naruto motioned her to sit on the chair and she did so. Hinata, meet Tsuki. He is the owner of the best ramen stand in the world and old man, this is Hinata, my friend. Naruto introduced them to each other. Hello, it is nice to meet you, sir. Hinata greeted Tsuki. No need to be so formal, all of Naruto's friends can call me Gramps. Tsuki tried to cut the ice, in which he was successful, and he continued. So, what will you eat? What Naruto-kun ordered. Hinata, as she didn't know what kind of ramen were there. Okay. 5 miso ramen coming right up. Tsuki went to prepare the ramen. Say Hinata-chan, have you ever eaten ramen before? Naruto asked out of his curiosity. Actually I didn't eat ramen tea that much, maybe 2 or 3 times. Hinata told him. What? But why? Ramen is the best food out there. Naruto couldn't believe that somebody can stay without eating ramen. My FF family they don't like unhealthy food. Hinata answered. Well, they're all stupid, but not you. Naruto gave her his trademark grin and soon enough Tsuki arrived with ramen too. Eat up. The shop owner served the ramen and went back to his work. Naruto popped his chopsticks and started chugging down ramen. In no less than 2 minutes the entire bowl was empty and he went down to his next bowl. Hinata smiled and started eating her own ramen. 10 minutes later. I'm so full. Naruto patted his stomach, which was now completely full of ramen. Hinata-chan, did you like it? Naruto asked. Why yes, it was nice. Hinata replied to him. I have to ask her now. Naruto relaxed himself and spoke up. Hinata-chan, can I talk to you for a little bit? Naruto's face was now a little more serious than normal. Sure. Hinata wondered what was it that made her blonde boy go serious. Hinata-chan. Naruto looked at her directly in the eye. Hinata was starting to get nervous. Will you be my best friend? Hinata was dumbfounded. What? Hinata couldn't process those words completely. He asked me to be his best friend. Me. She was having dumplings popping in her heart. Naruto now looked at the sky and continued. I've seen it, Hinata. You are not like other people, you're special. Yesterday, you went against all the girls and cheered for me, you gave me your medicinal cream, you cared for me, you think that I'm a good person and not some sort of demon. He looked at the ground now and smiled. Although I have Shikamaru, Choji and Kiba as my friends, I want you to be my best friend, Hinata. Please. He folded his hands in front of her and requested. Hinata smiled and put his hands down by keeping hers on his and smiled. Of course, Naruto-kun, I will be your best friend. Hinata closed her eyes and gave small grin. Naruto was starting to get relaxed but, Hinata said and his heart almost stopped. Seeing this her grin grew larger. UW will have to be my best friend too, okay. Hinata finished and Naruto got relieved and he gave Hinata a tight hug which made them almost fall from their seats. Tsuki watched this scene unfold and he couldn't help but let a drop of tear fall from his eyes. Naruto. I'm so happy for you. Shit. Why every time me? Naruto complained as Shikamaru beat him for the 3rd time in shogi. Shikamaru smiled and said, you know Naruto, you're pretty smart. Nobody has been able to come this close to beating me after my father. He complimented Naruto. During their match he noticed that Naruto had good analytical skills and far sight. He lost because he didn't have enough confidence. He predicted almost all of my moves. If he plays with a little more confidence then. Shikamaru bit his lip. You know Shika, shogi is really an interesting game. Naruto was a newbie at this game and while learning it, he found it very interesting. Yeah, you are right, it helps us develop our IQ and strategic thinking, however. He said while sitting up and then continued while assembling the board. I don't think that you would have time for that. Why? Naruto asked. Shikamaru smirked and answered, You've got a girlfriend. Naruto blushed heavily and replied to him, Hinata-chan is my best friend and it's not what you think. I just feel comfortable around her. Naruto said, not wanting to take this discussion. Ah, that's a relief. Naruto gave Shikamaru a confused look and Shikamaru decided to elaborate. Look Naruto, I like you but more than you I like cloud watching and sleeping and since you've Hinata now so I'll get more time for that. He smirked. Oh just you see I'll make myself the most special to you, even more special than your naps and clouds. Naruto grumbled as his ego was hurt. Nope. You're already the most special to someone else. Shikamaru said with a rare smile. Huh, what do you mean? Naruto asked but got no response. A little later he saw that Shikamaru was dozing off. Shikamaru! Naruto yelled. Naruto and Hinata were strolling in the academy. Since Hinata became his best friend, Naruto comes to the academy early to spend more time with her. It was still 45 minutes till the classes so they were walking enjoying each other's presence. Hey, Hinata-chan, what's your family like? Naruto asked, curious about her family. Hinata was a bit surprised by the question. Fine, they are all good. Hinata said, not wanting to reveal the abusive side of her family. Seeing that Hinata was getting uncomfortable, Naruto diverted the topic to how many bowls of ramen can he eat in 5 minutes, which made her giggle. They talked for a few minutes until they stumbled upon the swing by the academy. Naruto looked at the swing for a moment, then sadness filled his eyes. Hinata saw it and understood everything. Before everything between them happened, before even Iruka was there for him, Naruto used to sit here alone. Nobody wanted to play with him, everybody sent him glares. This place, it was the symbol of his loneliness, and seeing it he was regaining all of those memories. Hinata couldn't stand it, she couldn't see her Naruto in such a depressed state. She wanted to replace all of Naruto's sad memories with happy ones. Then an idea came to her mind. Naruto-kun, do you want me to push you on the swing? She asked him with a smile. Naruto was elated, he gave her his own smile and agreed. His eyes were on the brim of tears, but he'll not cry today. He sat on the swing and waited for Hinata to push it. Soon she started pushing the swing and Naruto felt a mix of all emotions in his heart but sadness. He felt it, the joy of having someone who cares for you. Each time Hinata pushed the swing, Naruto felt happier and happier. He was really glad to have Hinata as his best friend. Naruto then asked Hinata to sit with him on the swing. Me, Naruto-kun. Hinata was hesitant. Yeah, you. Naruto, seeing that she wouldn't come, pulled her and made her sit on the swing. Once they were seated and comfortable, Naruto pushed his legs off the ground to start swinging. Naruto couldn't express the joy in words. For others it would be a normal experience, but to him it was special. He felt joy, happiness, comfort and a special feeling towards her. Naruto-kun. Hinata started. Naruto made a sound in response. You will never be alone again. Hinata said and looked at him with a smile. Naruto looked at her with same eyes and replied, no. Hinata was confused now, what her crush meant. As she tried to reason his words, Naruto continued, we will never be alone again. They both looked at each other and smiled. Their journey was just about to begin. They both looked at the beautiful rising sun together. Naruto was exiting the academy when he saw Hinata waiting for him. He reached her and gave a sheepish grin. Sorry Hinata-chan, you had to wait for me. Naruto said, feeling bad for not doing homework and making Hinata wait. Hinata gave him a smile and said, you should do the homework Naruto-kun, so that the teachers couldn't punish you. Naruto snorted at the name of homework. Yeah, whatever. Naruto put his hands on the back of his head and said, if you want I can help you with it. Hinata told him. She was ready to help her crush in any way possible. Really? Naruto asked her and she nodded. Well Hinata-chan, can you also help me with training? Naruto asked excitedly. Of course. Hinata replied with a small grin. So it's decided. Meet me at Riverside tomorrow after academy. Naruto announced. Okay. The next day, just as they promised, Naruto and Hinata met at the riverside to do the training. So, what should we do now? Hinata asked. I thought about it all night and I came up with an idea. First I'll try making a clone and you with your eyes shall observe me and tell me what I'm doing wrong. Naruto told her his idea and she nodded in understanding. Naruto waved the Nisekari hand signs and on the other hand Hinata activated her Byakugan. Bunshin Jutsu. Naruto shouted and a cloud of smoke appeared. Hinata gasped at what she saw. Naruto-kun's chakra reserves are huge. When the smoke cleared there was nothing but a disappointed Naruto's face. See, it always happens, nothing. So can you tell me what happened? Naruto asked as he saw Hinata. She nodded. Naruto-kun, why your chakra reserves are huge, even greater than my father's. That is why you cannot do clones as they require less chakra and you cannot control such huge reserves. Hinata elaborated. Well that's great. Naruto said in sarcasm. So can I control my chakra? Naruto asked. Hinata nodded. Yes. There is an exercise known as tree walking which improves chakra control. Hinata said. Can you teach it to me? Naruto asked with cute eyes that rivaled Hinata's cuteness. If Hinata was little more confident then she would have pulled his cheeks. Why yes, I can teach it to you. Hinata smiled. She was feeling so good at the thought of teaching Naruto. Soon they reached a tree and Hinata started. Naruto-kun, first you will have to apply chakra to your feet and try to stand on the tree. Hinata told him and activated her Byakugan. Naruto started to apply chakra to his feet with enthusiasm. Naruto-kun, you're applying too much chakra. Hinata said. I thought I wasn't even using of it. He now tried to apply less chakra. Still too much. Naruto decreased it even further. Still. Naruto decreased it even further. Still. Perfect. She motioned for Naruto to stop when he reached the required level. Now try to stand on the tree. Naruto stepped on the tree, then he carefully brought his another feet and closed his eyes, preparing himself for the pain. He opened one eye and saw that he didn't fall. He was standing on the tree. Yes. Naruto shouted. What to do next, Hinata-chan? Hinata couldn't be more happy at her crush's achievement. Next, you have to try walking on the tree. She instructed him and Naruto brought his next step, but as soon as he did so he was blasted off from the tree, making a hole there and fell far off. Naruto-kun. What the hell? He brought himself up and saw that there was a big cut in his left hand. Hinata approached him and saw his cut. Naruto-kun, let me help you. She couldn't see Naruto in such state. She bent down and tore off a piece of her cloth and wrapped it around Naruto's arm. Naruto saw how worried she was, but he just smiled and sawed. Thanks Hinata-chan, but no worries, the cream that you gave me will heal this cut in no time. Naruto tried to calm her down. He could see the horror on her face. Naruto now stood up and stretched, and with sheer determination he said, now, let's continue. Please be a little more careful. Hinata couldn't let the feeling of worry go away. 2 hours later, Naruto fell on the ground, allowing himself to rest. He had been successful in climbing up to 5 meters, which was really exhausting. He deserved the rest. Flashback. Naruto was trying to climb the tree and failed. Still, he was making some progress, at least now he was not blasted off. Suddenly Hinata came to him. Naruto-kun, can I go? I have to do something. What? You're leaving me, Hinata-chan? Naruto whined. No, I'll back in 1 hour. Hinata tried to convince him. Eventually Naruto agreed and Hinata went away. Flashback end. It has been 1 hour and Hinata-chan hasn't returned yet. Naruto thought, disappointed. He doesn't know why, but he doesn't like being parted from her. He looked at the piece of cloth that she tied around his arm and brought it closer to him. Her smell. She smells so nice. He was feeling comfortable, and it was then he saw a bag above him. He turned his head and found Hinata. Hinata-chan, you returned. Naruto immediately and looked at her. I thought you left me because I was not doing well and you didn't want to waste your time on me. Naruto pouted. Hinata bent down and kept her bag on the ground and cupped Naruto's cheek. I will never leave you, Naruto-kun. Hinata said with a comforting tone. She later realized that she didn't stutter. Naruto smiled from ear to ear and asked her, so, what's in the bag? Naruto was really curious why Hinata went and why was she carrying a bag. Oh, this. Well, you were working hard, so I decided to make something for you. Hinata brought the bag up and smiled. Really? So, what did ya make? Naruto was overjoyed at the name of food. After all, he had been working for hours and now he was hungry. Hinata smiled and took out 2 large containers. She opened those to reveal rice balls, sushi and vegetable soup. Naruto liked the former too but stuck his tongue out for the latter. Why did you have to include vegetables? Naruto-kun, it is important for the future Hokage to eat nutritious food. Hinata tried to convince him but Naruto refused. Please, put my heart into making it. Hinata requested him. The way she looked at him, he couldn't deny her. Ultimately he started to eat the veggies, and when he ate, this is awesome, Naruto exclaimed. He had never eaten something this tasty other than ramen before, not at least vegetables. Hinata-chan, you're the best chef in the entire world. Naruto complimented her and she blushed a little. Soon all of the food was in his stomach and the food containers were empty. Ah, I had never eaten something this tasty before. I'm glad that why you enjoyed it. Hinata was really happy today. She was able to satisfy Naruto with her cooking skills. Naruto stood up and stretched. Now, let's spar, Naruto declared. Hinata had a little confused expression on her face, seeing that Naruto smiled and bent down and repeated again. Hinata-chan, let's spar. You and me together. Wouldn't it be great? You can help me improve my taijutsu. Hinata smiled and got up, ready to spar with her crush. She took her Jiyuken stance, and on the other hand Naruto, well, he took some random stance and hauled himself at her. Hinata, though a bit hesitant, blocked Naruto's incoming fist and closed his arm's chakra network with her Jiyuken. Naruto felt his arm go numb and he jumped back. Hey, what the hell was that? Naruto asked while clutching his now arm. Hinata then explained him what she did. Wow, that's so cool. Hinata smiled for a moment and then launched herself at him, aiming to shut down his leg's chakra network. It's for Naruto-kun's good. If I do this then he'll improve. Hinata, though feeling bad about hurting Naruto, convinced herself that it was for her blonde boy's good. Naruto then also tried to block Hinata's incoming palm. Just as she was mere inches away from him, she bent down and she shut down his leg's chakra system. Naruto fell down and he couldn't get back up. Hinata sighed, seeing that how much horrible Naruto's taijutsu was. He'll need much more training. Soon Naruto got back up, ready to fight again, and attacked her once more. He fought just like a street brawler. There were no patterns and no coordination in his attacks, which resulted in his both arms and go completely numb again. He rested against a tree. He couldn't believe something this dangerous was named as gentle. Who the hell named it as Gentle Fist? Naruto complained as he couldn't feel his arms. Hinata giggled at his antics. 45 minutes later. Hinata was getting tired now. She had closed Naruto's 5 main chakra points for 3 times and still he got up. His stamina is insane. If it was anybody else he would be lying flat on the ground, but Naruto was still full of energy. Naruto saw that Hinata was really exhausted, so he insisted on finishing the training for today. As they laid on the ground resting, Naruto started laughing. It is funny, you know, that your family named it as Gentle Fist. I'd rather call it Pokey Finger Jutsu. Hinata smiled and then started. You know, Naruto-kun, your stamina is huge. If I'd have used that much Jiyuken on any other person, then he'd be in hospital right now, but you survived it and it surprises me. She closed her eyes and continued, but why your movements were predictable. There was no coordination between why your movements A and you use your L left hand more than your R right hand. US should use that hand M more, or else why you will be BX extremely predictable. She tried to tell him what were his main flaws in taijutsu and how much he needs to improve. Yeah, I know I'm terrible, but you will be always with me to help me improve, right? Naruto said while looking towards the setting sun. Hinata looked at him and blushed heavily, but in a voice just above than a whisper she said, yes. And then she too looked towards the setting sun together with her crush. Hiya! Naruto hurled at Hinata with all his might and blew a fist at her. She easily dodged the attack without breaking any sweat and let Naruto fall on the ground on face. I really feel bad for him. Hinata and Naruto had been training together for like 3 weeks now, and in that time Hinata's chakra reserves had grown bigger and her gentle fist had also improved by using Naruto as a dummy, but she felt bad for Naruto. In their training only she was improving and Naruto is there where he was earlier. She had thought that she'd help him correct his stance, but she was afraid that if the Hyugas come to know about it, then the Hyugas might take action on Naruto. No more fearing. I will help Naruto-kun no matter what. If my family speaks anything about it, then I'll tell them that I did it, and if they punish me, I don't care. Hinata steeled her resolve. She reached her crush, who was a little exhausted. Naruto-kun, may I help you with your stance? Naruto looked up at her. The sun was shining brightly behind her and made her look like an angel sent down from heaven. The sight made Naruto go into a trance, but soon he got out of it and nodded his head vigorously, the sign of his agreement. A little while later, and after a few adjustments, Hinata made Naruto take the most basic Jiyuken stance. This is one of the basic Jiyuken S stances. While the Jiyuken I is a little SN sneaky type of taijutsu, I think you'll be able to do fine with it. Hinata elaborated the stance to him, to which Naruto's face lit up. He was learning the fighting style of the Hyugas. So, how do I fight in this stance, Hinata-chan? Naruto was really intrigued. Hinata smiled. She was feeling good to be able to help her Naruto. After 30 minutes, Naruto became adept in fighting using the gentle fist style, but since he didn't have the Byakugan, so he couldn't see the chakra points of people, so Hinata decided that she'd make him learn all of the chakra points of a human, and surprisingly he learned them all in 15 minutes, and now it was time for him to spar against Hinata to see how much did he learn about the Jiyuken style. Both of them stood in silence for a long time. Just as Hinata had taught him, not to rush, instead wait, but he was too hyperactive to withstand this silence and thus he charged at her. Hinata internally sighed and prepared for him to come. He blew a fist at her and she sidestepped to let him fall to the ground, but to her surprise Naruto didn't fall to the ground, instead he remained in an inclined position to fool her and let her guard down. He grinned and tried to shut her main chakra point down with his palm, but there wasn't any chakra, and hit her with his bare palm, but the force of the strike was enough to make her fall down, but when he hit her he felt something soft in his hand. He reached Hinata, who was sitting on the ground, astonished. After a little bit of calling and shouting, she came out of her trance and stood up with a smile on her face. Naruto-kun, you did it. You landed a solid hit on me. She couldn't be more happy at her blonde boy's achievement. But you still can't manifest chakra P properly. This fighting style R requires chakra-infused attacks to shut down one's chakra psi system. Hinata traced her hand to where he had hit as she told him how to use this style more efficiently, and when she reached where he had hit, and when she did, she was redder than a tomato, words weren't coming out of her mouth, she was gasping for breath. Naruto, who was grinning now, became worried after seeing his best friend in such an uncomfortable state. He looked at where her hand was and where he had attacked, and soon he blushed too. The place where I hit, that soft thing, it was her breast. He realized why Hinata was like this. When he attacked her, he unintentionally, mistakenly touched her breast. He immediately bowed down and touched her feet, bringing Hinata back to reality. Hinata-chan, please forgive me. I didn't do it intentionally. He cried. He begged for her forgiveness. Suddenly he felt two hands at his shoulder and he looked up to find Hinata smiling. He felt comfortable and she pulled him up. I can know that you didn't do it intentionally. I can know that you can never do something like that. She again smiled, which made him comfortable. IW was just so surprised. No, nobody had touched me like that before, but I am glad that it was you who touched me first. She said the last part in a voice just above a whisper. Naruto was not able to catch what she said at the last part. He asked her, but he got no reply. Sue, you don't hate me. Naruto was still not confirmed that she had forgiven him. Hinata looked at him and replied in a comforting tone, I can never hate you, Naruto-kun. To which Naruto was almost in tears and gave her a tight hug. You're the best, Hinata-chan. Just like before, she massaged his back and he calmed down. But still, I have to do something too for you after what I did, don't I? Hinata tried to protest, but she got no chance as Naruto held her hand and dragged her to who knows where. Let's abort training for today. So Hinata-chan, what do you like to eat? Naruto asked with a grin. Hinata had no choice but to answer, see cinnamon buns. Naruto's grin grew bigger and he dragged her to the nearest sweet shop to them. Naruto put their run to a halt as they reached the sweet shop. We're here. I don't know much about this shop, but I know that it sells cinnamon buns. He said between breaths. Just as they were about to enter the shop, Naruto remembered something. Hinata-chan, I have something to do. See, can you buy the buns alone? I'll be back in a few minutes. He said with a sheepish grin. Hinata knew what he was referring to. She could see through that facade of the grin and she didn't need the Byakugan for it. Her smile faltered. She knew that the shopkeeper would not allow him in the store and humiliate him, and Naruto didn't wanted her to be humiliated because of his fault. She wanted to take him to the shop. She wanted to tell him that there is nothing to fear, and she wanted to teach all of the people who hate Naruto a lesson, but not now. Creating a scene here would only humiliate Naruto further, so she agreed, went inside the shop and bought 2 buns, one for herself and one for her blonde boy. Just as Naruto had promised, he waited for her by a nearby tree. He had stayed hidden until she showed up so that nobody would chase him. He motioned for her to come there and she did so. So, let's go and eat. Naruto was really excited to try his best friend's favorite food. Hinata smiled too, but from the inside she was really hurt to see his crush getting such treatment. They sat under a tree basking in the sun. Winter's coming, he commented while shivering. Why yes, winter's coming. Hinata agreed with him and then opened her cinnamon buns from the packing and offered one to Naruto. Naruto smelled the food and then took a small bite. Hey, it's so good. He usually didn't like sweets that much, but it was completely different. Hinata-chan, your taste of food is really amazing. He chomped down the entire bun in literal 1.5 seconds. I'm glad that why you enjoyed it. She blushed a little, but she was glad that she was able to make her Naruto happy. She shivered due to a cold wind, to which Naruto pulled her close and wrapped an arm around her. She immediately looked up and found Naruto grinning. You'll catch a cold, Hinata-chan. Like this, you'll be warm enough. Hinata was overjoyed from the inside after seeing Naruto wrapping his arm around her and his concern for her, but it was nothing compared to. You know, I can't express in words how glad I am to have you as my best friend. Naruto looked at her in the eyes and they both froze for a moment until Hinata broke the eye contact and blushed heavily, but now she had gathered enough confidence in order to not faint. It's the same here, Hinata replied while smiling, and then she went to finish her bun. Naruto smiled and pulled her closer and laid his head on her shoulder. These were all subconscious indications, and he still has to find a special bond between her and himself to which he is still unaware. 2 months later, Hiyashi Hyuga, the head of the Hyuga clan, was in his office, which was much like the Hokage's office but of course much smaller. He was an extremely cold man who was in his office for like 24/7. Just like the other Hyugas, he was secretive and didn't like much talks. There were many ways to describe him, but the most suitable one was egotistical, cold, and proud. But he wasn't like this always. Flashback. A few years ago, Hiyashi Hyuga was a smiling person. He lived happily with his wife Haruhi Hyuga and his daughter Hinata. When Haruhi was there, Hinata didn't feel fear, she felt comfort, and no other clan elder dared to raise questions about her eligibility, but that didn't last long. A few months after Hinata's younger sister Hanabi was born, Haruhi fell ill due to a formidable disease. All of the doctors in the Fire Country tried to cure her on the order of Hiyashi, but they bore no fruit. Hanabi was too small at that time to understand anything, but Hinata, she understood everything. Days passed, and just before Haruhi passed away, she called her husband. Haruhi, I'm here. He opened the door and rushed to her. Haruhi at that time was immensely weak, but somehow she was able to speak. Hiyashi. I have one last request. She looked at him in the eye. Hiyashi couldn't believe that it was happening. Maybe for the first time in his life, he broke in tears and begged her to not leave him. Hiyashi. I have to go, but before that. Hiyashi again looked at her as she continued. Please take care of our daughters and never allow the elders to seal them. Haruhi made her request. Haruhi, I promise you. Hiyashi promised and laid her in the bed. It was at that night that Haruhi passed away. Flashback end. But after she passed away, the Hyuga elders got their grip on Hiyashi and slowly, they poisoned his mind, filled it with venom, and eventually made him forget his promise and turned him into the man as he is today, cold and vicious. He became disappointed in Hinata and left her. After her mother's death, the only refuge Hinata had was her father, and now even he left her. Hiyashi sighed as he put down a pile of papers and picked up a small photo. The photo of him with his wife and 2 daughters. He allowed a ghost of a smile on his face. Somewhere in the deepest reaches of his heart there still was humanity, and a certain blonde would pull it out. Hiyashi got up and walked out of his office to get a look at the Hyuga compound, which he hadn't seen in days. It was evening and stood at the compound door. He took a deep breath to cherish the garden of the Hyuga compound, which was filled with exotic flowers. It was then that he noticed that Hinata was entering the compound. He was a bit surprised to Hinata at this time outside the compound. She didn't notice her father at first, but now she did, and soon enough her legs started to tremble, her breathing became ragged, she felt like running away, but she closed her eyes and imagined Naruto with a thumbs up and a big grin on his face. Even if not by 100%, but her fear died down. She approached her father, who had his cold eyes fixed on her, but its effect was less on her this time. Good evening, Otu-san. She greeted him, and to Hiyashi's surprise Hinata's stutter had decreased drastically, but he did not show that. Instead he ordered her to meet him in the office. As soon as he left, Hinata released a sigh of relief. Hinata and Hiyashi sat in the office together. Hiyashi was finishing his paperwork. After 10 minutes he was finished, but it seemed like forever to Hinata. So Hinata, I've noticed that you've been coming home lately. The academy finishes at 1:30 p.m. and you came home today at 4:45 p.m. completely covered in dirt. Where have you been? He looked at her directly in the eye. If it were the old Hinata then she'd have cried then and there, but now she had gained confidence to not run away. With a confident voice she answered, Father, I have been coming home lately because of been tea training. She also looked at him in eye now. With whom? She asked with interest. Who could it be that her confidence has increased her and her stutter decreased in such a short time? Naruto-kun. Hinata answered, and now shock was evident in Hiyashi's eyes. You have been interacting with the village pariah? Hiyashi asked. He couldn't believe that a Hyuga was interacting with the village outcast, and he was even more shocked to hear the kun honorific. Please. Father, don't see call him like that. He is not like everybody else says. He is a very key kind and hard-working person. Hinata protested. She didn't like hearing such things about her Naruto even if it is from her father. Hiyashi was shocked. Hinata had never protested against him. How could that boy have such effect on her? No, I can't allow such a thing. I have to take action immediately, but... Single quote. Hiyashi was deep in thought, and after a long period of silence Hiyashi spoke up. Fine, we will play it your way. You will have to bring Naruto Uzumaki in the Hyuga compound in 5 days, and then we will decide if you two are allowed to train together. Hinata didn't know what was going in her father's mind, but she agreed. Good, now you may leave. With that Hinata left his office. 5 days. Uzumaki Naruto. Hiyashi leaned down in his chair thinking about the next 5 days. Hinata reached her room, and as soon as she opened the door she was given a tight hug by Hanabi, her younger sister. In this story Hanabi is 2 years younger than Hinata. Oni-chan, how'd your training go? Hanabi was the only person in the Hyuga clan who knew about Hinata's training with Naruto and her undying love for him, and she was not against it. Although she never met Naruto, she cheered up Hinata because it made her elder sister happy. Hinata smiled and replied, fine, but her smile faded away as she continued, but father found it out. Hanabi gasped and released the hug and went onto the bed. What did he say? Hanabi questioned with worry. She doesn't want her sister to again become the mess she was earlier before arrival of Naruto. I don't know what's going on in his head, but he told me to bring Naruto-kun 5 days later. Hinata also went to the bed and rubbed Hanabi's hair. So, what are you gonna do? Hanabi questioned. Bring Naruto-kun here. Hinata answered and laid herself on the bed with Hanabi and went to sleep. 4 days later, Naruto was stepping out of the academy. Today was one of his best days in academy. His training with Hinata had improved his taijutsu, and as a result he was able to smash Sasuke and surprise everyone in the class except Hinata. As he reached the gate he saw Hinata waiting for him. She had a worried expression on her face. Naruto didn't like that and immediately he spoke up, Hey Hinata-chan. What's up? Hinata didn't notice him and got startled, but she calmed herself down when she realized that it was her blonde boy's voice. Hello, Naruto-kun. She smiled and went closer to him. What happened, Hinata-chan? You look so worried. Are you okay? Naruto asked with concern. Hinata gathered all the courage she had and replied, Naruto-kun, my father actually wanted to meet you. She peeked through one eye and found him smiling. That's great. I've never met your dad. This is a great opportunity. He was really excited to meet her father. Hinata saw him. His face was full of expectations and excitement, but... Actually, Naruto-kun, my father wants to meet you because... She couldn't do it. If she told him that her father wanted to meet him because he thought it was inappropriate for her to interact with him, then Naruto would hate her. He'd become really sad, he wouldn't have that cheerful expression on his face. But if she didn't tell him, then her father wouldn't let her meet him. Either way she would have to lose him. Tears welled up in her eyes. She felt dizzy and suddenly she felt Naruto hugging her. There is nothing to fear, Hinata-chan, you can tell me everything. Naruto didn't like to see Hinata in this state. Hinata felt comfortable. She gripped her blonde boy tightly and completed her incomplete words. Because Naruto-kun, my father thinks that I should not be meeting you, he thinks that as a Hyuga I shouldn't be interacting with you. Now her restrictions were broken and she cried heartily. Naruto understood everything and from the inside he was afraid to that he'd have to lose Hinata, his best friend. But Naruto spoke up and her crying stopped and Naruto released her and smiled. Hinata was confused and Naruto continued. You will always be with me, right? Hinata didn't know what to say. She dumbstricken, but soon she got out of her trance and said, yes. Naruto was relieved. He knew that nothing could separate them and now he confirmed it. But the conversation was not over yet and soon Naruto posed a question that Hinata had been avoiding for a long time. But Hinata-chan, you never told me how your family is like. I mean, if I'm visiting your father then I should at least know what he is like. Hinata knew that this day would come and had prepared herself for it, but she did not know that this would become this difficult. Now that their bond was deep, she doubted that if she revealed the abusive side of her clan then Naruto would barely contain himself, but again just a few seconds ago Naruto assured her that she can be open with him. She took a deep breath and started to explain everything, and when she did, Naruto was fuming with anger. The caged bird seal, the abusive Hyuga elders, the change of Hiyashi's attitude and the ill treatment towards Hinata, the way Hiyashi had left her and the fact that she'll be sealed if she was found ineligible for the heiress position, all combined. Nobody treats his best friend like that. Those bunch of. Naruto wanted to swear but he chose not to, as after all the Hyugas were Hinata's family. All his life he had respected the Hyugas for their active support since the beginning of Konoha, but today tarnished that reputation. He was grumbling, the way Goku grumbled when he first turned Super Saiyan on Namek. But he calmed himself down. It really took a lot of time, but he calmed down. His anger here would do nothing, rather he should go and meet Hiyashi Hyuga. Naruto now gave his trademark grin. So, see ya at your house tomorrow, right? To which Hinata nodded and Naruto waved his goodbye and went on his way, but soon he realized that he didn't know the way to Hinata's home. He turned round and asked her, can you please pick me up tomorrow? I don't know the way to your house. Hinata giggled and nodded, after which they both went on their way. Today Hinata learned a lesson that whatever happens her Naruto can never misunderstand her. The next day, just like she had promised, Hinata arrived at Naruto's house to pick him up. Naruto woke up early that day and became ready to go to the Hyuga compound, and they departed for the Hyuga district compound. Naruto was surprised would be an understatement. He was over surprised to see how much big Hinata's home was. They opened the front gate and headed for Hiyashi Hyuga's office. In these months Hinata had also taught Naruto some etiquette, and thanks to that he now knew how to act properly in front of the Hyugas. As they were walking towards the main house, Naruto got death stares and glares from many Hyugas, but Hinata told him to ignore them. Naruto was totally confused when he entered house. It was no less than a maze. There were 3 dining rooms each for special occasions and many other rooms which if he were to count then he'd forget even the basic maths taught in the academy. He was so lost in these paintings, murals and decorations that he didn't even notice when they had reached Hiyashi's office. Naruto prepared himself as Hinata knocked on the door and a cold voice answered, "Come in." They both entered the room and Naruto saw that a man with long hair, a stoic face and cold pupilless eyes. Naruto gulped as Hiyashi spoke up, "So, I presume that you are Uzumaki Naruto?" "Yes, sir," Naruto replied with his spine straight. He hated the man for his treatment towards Hinata, but he chose to stay calm in order to not embarrass Hinata. Hiyashi nodded. "Please, have a seat." Hiyashi motioned to the seats on the ground. Naruto and Hinata both sat in formal styles and Hiyashi continued. Hiyashi observed him closely. Hiyashi stirred his tea for a moment, before he got the main point. "So, May I know why as the village pariah you are associating with Hinata, who is the heiress to the prestigious Hyuga clan? Now Hinata was shocked. She predicted that it'd go like this, but she didn't knew that her father would be like this from the start. She wanted to support Naruto, but she knew that he can handle it himself. Moreover, if she spoke up, then it would make Hiashi angrier. Lord Hyuga, I can't understand how does my status of being the village outcast affects my friendship with Hinata. He barely controlled his rage. It was because of this man and his whole subordinates that made Hinata go through all the hardships. Hiyashi's eye twitched. Does this little kid doesn't have the fear of me? It was the first time in years that somebody had spoken to him upright and without a trace of fear. Of course there is, Hiyashi answered calmly. So, please elaborate it, sir. Naruto commanded rather than plead. Hiyashi's disdainful gaze locked onto Naruto. Uzumaki, a genin with a dubious background. Do you truly believe you have a place among Konoha's shinobi? Or are you merely a liability waiting to happen? Naruto felt the weight of Hiyashi's scrutiny but stood firm. He was not going to be weakened by this man's words. I might be a genin, but I'll prove my worth through hard work and determination. I don't need anyone underestimating me. Hiyashi's voice turned cutting. Your heritage is a stain on your abilities. The village questions your loyalty. Is associating with the Hyuga heiress an attempt to mask your inadequacies? Hinata now stood up and put a hand on Naruto's shoulder. By bringing up Naruto's heritage like this, Hiyashi has also made Hinata apprehensive. He wouldn't let her father break her Naruto's spirit, although she knew that these words would do nothing to her blonde boy, but still, if she doesn't stand up for Naruto now, then how will she stand on Naruto's side forever? Naruto clenched his fists, frustration building. I won't let anyone dictate who I am or who I can be friends with. Hinata sees my true strength, and I won't let you belittle her or me. Hiyashi gave a sadistic chuckle. Your true strength? Don't make me laugh. You are nothing more than a complete failure, and your associating with Hinata will make the situation even worse. Naruto was on the verge of, well, we know. How? Was the only thing that Naruto could say. Again Hiyashi became serious and began explaining everything. You see, Hinata is a total disgrace to our clan. She awakened the Byakugan far later than anybody else in the Hyuga clan. Her Jiyuken is far inferior than anybody else in our clan. She is extremely timid. She doesn't possesses the intent to kill when fighting an enemy, and in addition to that, your association with her will make her even worse. Naruto was about to jump on Hiyashi. He could feel Hinata weakening. Hinata-chan, don't worry. Naruto encouraged Hinata and went back to Hiyashi. How can you say that Hinata-chan isn't worth your time? How can you say that she is a failure? You do not even have the time to train her. You don't even know how she suffered when you left her. She didn't even smile. She didn't even have the courage to speak to people. Perhaps if you trained her well, if you showed her a little more support, then she'd have been a lot stronger earlier, just like she is now. Naruto was breathing heavily. If we just give people a little more time rather than judging them instantly, then we can bring out their true potential. Hiyashi's eyes narrowed. Your naive ideals won't protect you in the real world, Uzumaki. Perhaps you're just destined for failure, much like your parents. Father. Now it was enough. Hinata had been staying in the sidelines for a long time, and now she wouldn't let her father disgrace Naruto any further. Do you know who this person is? She pointed towards Naruto and continued, he is the person who gave me confidence when nobody was there, when I was completely alone. And you are calling him a failure? He works and trains harder than any other human, let alone Hyugas. Have you seen him train? Have you seen how hard he works? No, but I know him better than anyone else. Today I'm here because of him only, and you cannot say anything to him like that, and that's an order from the future heiress of the Hyuga clan. Naruto grinned and shouted, yeah, and together we will prove ourselves. Silence filled the room. Everybody, including Hiyashi himself, was shocked, and it was completely evident on his face. Soon Hinata took a hold of Naruto's hand and took him out the room, but before they left the office, Naruto heard one last sentence from Hiashi. If you want to prove yourselves, then please protect Hinata. To which his reply was, I will. And then they left. Hiashi Hyuga sat in silence for a long time. I understand. Single quote. Today reminded Hiashi of a long-forgotten promise, I remember. Haruhi. Hiashi Hyuga can finally understand the error of his ways. He can understand that Hinata had grown far more stronger than she would have under the wing of any other person. That boy, he has something special, and it's not the Kyuubi, it's something else. He pulled his family photo and fondled it. Haruhi, forgive me, I could not fulfill your promise, but I have found the right person to pass it down to. Uzumaki Naruto, he said it with a rare smile. Just as Naruto and Hinata stepped out, Hinata realized what she had done. She turned red and was about to faint, but Naruto suddenly hugged her tightly. Hinata-chan, you were amazing. I was the only thing she could mutter. But soon their hugging session was put to a halt as Hanabi approached them. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oni-san, you were on fire today. Hanabi, you heard everything. Now Hinata didn't know what to do. She was about to faint but was once again saved by Naruto, who asked, Hey, Hinata-chan, who is this girl? Hinata came out of her trance and started and ended the introduction. After that, Hanabi curiously looked at Naruto. Ah, so you are the boy on whom my sister has a crew. She never got to finish her sentence as Hinata cate her mouth and whispered, Hanabi, please, I beg you, not now, I'll buy you sweets. Hanabi winked and gave a thumbs up to Hinata and turned the conversation to the previous topic. You know, you really are special. Nobody has dared to talk to father like that even in their own dreams. Hanabi complimented Naruto, on which Naruto gave a sheepish grin. Hinata had gone for some moments and now they were left alone. You know, I really like you. Naruto looked at Hanabi confused. You saved my sister. You brought her back from her insecurities. You made her strong. Naruto was now even more confused. I did. Hanabi looked at him in the eye now. Listen, Naruto-san, you know the caged bird seal, right? To which Naruto nodded and Hanabi continued with her eyes down. Only one of us two will become the heiress of this clan and the other will be sealed. But I don't want my sister to be sealed, neither I want to get sealed. Quote. Now Hanabi held Naruto's hands with tears in her eyes. Please, please Naruto-san, I beg you, please change the Hyuga clan. I know only you can, and don't ask me why. I don't know how, but I know only you can change the Hyuga clan. Hanabi now cried, but Naruto lifted her face up and with a determined face and a strong voice Naruto said, I promise you Hanabi, I will change the Hyugas. Not long after, Hinata joined them and they departed from the Hyuga district. Today Naruto's resolve to become the Hokage had become even more stronger as he had got one more mission which he can fulfill by becoming Hokage and earning the respect of the village, that is to change the Hyuga clan and to protect Hinata.